Hello, Velvet Owl here once again. How are you fine people doing? I know I can't hear you if you were to answer me by just yelling back at me, but you could always drop me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube or email me at velvetowl@hotmail.com. Whichever, I would like to hear from my fan. I just bought a 4K TV, which is kind of cool. I mean, I don't really notice much difference, so I don't know if I just have bad vision or if since my last TV was 1080p anyhow, there's not that huge of a difference. Or maybe the fact that the films I watch aren't broadcast in 4K anyhow. So really, this is going to have no effect on this podcast. This week, I'm doing Attack of the Giant Horny Gorilla, which has to rank up there as one of the greatest movie titles of all time. Along, sorry, I think I screwed something up there, and I'm not going to restart the recording. But this ranks among the highest, greatest titles of all time, alongside Attack of the Killer Tomatoes and The Incredibly Strange Creatures Who Stopped Living and Became Mixed Up Zombies. Um, so this is definitely like one of the top 10 greatest titles of all time. Attack of the Giant Horny Gorilla. Because how does that not make you want to watch uh, just to see a giant horny gorilla? Come on. How does that not suck you in? So the description on this one is a newly discovered 36-foot gorilla escapes from a freighter off the coast of Korea. At the same time, an American actress is filming a movie in the country. Chaos ensues as the ape kidnaps her and rampages through Seoul. So basically, I think this is a King Kong ripoff, except they're going to take the subtext of Kong being horny and just put it full on out there that Kong is horny and wants to bang a woman. Which, when you say it out loud, I wonder if they're kind of trying to play into that old racist fear. Um, since they used to consider black men to be like apes, and you've got a giant ape going after a white woman, so it's like the old Mandingo fear. That is actually now, as I'm saying this, a very interesting like idea. Someone should write a paper on it. Not me. I lack the intelligence to really give it any sort of fair thought. But I'm gonna start this movie. Right off in the start, during the credits, the producers thank the United States Army for their assistance in making this film. Um, so I hope this isn't like some big propaganda film about how the United States is great, especially since, it takes place in Korea. Um, so it should be interesting to see how that plays out. Now we start off on the boat with the captain and one of his seamen. Seamen. Yeah, never pass up an opportunity for a very bad joke. I don't know what they're really called, like assistant. They're talking about the giant ape, and it's very badly dubbed. So this film might have actually been made in Korea. I mean, unless I'm having audio sync issues here. Um, so it could have been made in Korea, which then makes it even more interesting if they did have the assistance of the U.S. Army. I mean, it was this kind of like, hey guys, we feel bad about the Korean War. We're gonna help you with this film. And the film wastes no time in like the big ape escaping. Um, the ship kind of blows up from his escape. I'm not quite sure what he did, but he kind of just busts through and the ship explodes and he's off in the ocean. And it's just a guy in a rubber suit. And don't get me wrong, I do like Suitmation. I'm a fan of Godzilla and the whole kaiju. Is that how it's pronounced? Kaiju? That whole genre of film. I'm a big fan. But for those films, as much as they get kind of like shit on for being cheesy, they actually go through the trouble of creating suits. Like they actually make suits. I think this looks like they just bought a cheap rubber Halloween gorilla suit. And he's fighting what I'm guessing is a guppy in real life. It's meant to be a shark, I guess, to show us how giant and badass this gorilla is. But I mean, it looks like it's a guppy because it doesn't look very convincing that this is a giant ape. It just looks like a regular man. But if we kind of suspend our disbelief, it's kind of badass because he does rip the shark's jaws right open. And really, this is just a seriously badass opening scene. Not bad. I mean, bad also, but badass. Because we just go straight into the gorilla's just. He comes on shore and just starts fucking shit up. Which, as bad as the ape looks, this gives it a leg up over like Godzilla films. Because generally in Godzilla films, you gotta wait like 20 minutes of, the human parts before you get Godzilla showing up and just fucking shit up. This ape, this gorilla, he is just pissed off. He gets on shore, he's destroying buildings, he's throwing off power lines, he's throwing barrels of oil, causing all sorts of fire. And I mean, throwing the barrels is probably a subtle nod to Donkey Kong. If it isn't, I'm gonna say it is. So yeah, that was a really fucking kick-ass intro. Uh, if you like bad movies and you like monsters destroying stuff, I mean, I'm gonna recommend at least watch those first 5 minutes. And now an American reporter arrives. I don't know if his name is Steve Martin. I mean, not Steve Martin like the actor, but in the original Americanized version of Godzilla, Raymond Burr played Steve Martin, an American that was just shoehorned into the American version. And I don't know if this guy is shoehorned into the American version of Horny Gorilla. Um, that'd be kind of interesting. If so, I demand to see the original Korean version. And so the American reporter go to the airport where the lovely American actress arrives because she's going to make a film here. And he showed up all the way from America because he is madly in love with her. And since movies love to show stalker behavior as giant gestures of romance, and she doesn't quite love him back, but she loves him, but not quite. So she agrees to let him take her to the hotel. And by taking her to the hotel, he catches a cab. I thought he was going to like drive her. He just hails a cab. And they get to the hotel. And she does kiss him. More than just a smooch. Some serious kissing action. So she does have feelings for him. Or she's just leading him on. We'll see. I hope she's not leading him on. Don't be a bitch. If you kiss him like that, mean it. And so they're back at the hotel. He drops her off, and then he gets in his car to drive off. Which, if he has a car, why didn't he drive his car to the airport to pick her up? No, he's got to catch a cab. Although, maybe fuel economy, he didn't have enough gas. Traffic could be heavy. I don't know. There's a lot of reasons. Then we cut to a farming village where a farmer is driving his tractor, which is a pretty cool tractor because it looks like it's part army vehicle. And he's driving it across very barren land, so I'm not exactly sure what exactly he's tractoring. Is that a verb? That should be a verb. Tractoring. But, well, yeah. Does tractor use barren? It just doesn't look like it's land where anything's gonna grow, so I'm not sure what he's doing. But he stops when he sees giant footprint, and he looks up, and he sees the giant gorilla. Remember, the horny gorilla. But so far he's not horny, he's just been angry. And all the villagers notice, and they start panicking, because somehow he's managed to get into the village without anyone noticing beforehand. I mean, if his feet are big enough that he could leave this giant footprint, he must rattle the earth when he's walking. There's gonna be loud sounds. I mean, my wife complains about the way I walk because it's very heavy, and has a stomping sound, so I can only imagine how loud Horny Gorilla sounds when he walks. And then there's calls to various people about the giant monster. They call it a giant monster, not a giant gorilla, because I guess these farmers don't know what a gorilla is. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I can understand, like, with Godzilla, he's kind of a dinosaur, but he kind of isn't. So you would say, like, oh, it's a monster. Or especially any of the other monsters that don't look like anything, like Gigan or King Ghidorah. Like, yeah, those you would just call straight out monsters because you have no idea what the fuck they are. This is a giant gorilla. You wouldn't say there's a giant gorilla, but there's an army guy who comes down to survey the scene, and he drives right into a big wood pile that smashes his window. Like it's just sitting there, and he drives into it. Which right now, the American Army, the U.S. Army, should be very pissed off that this film is portraying them in such a bad light that their soldiers are idiots. Then it looks like the panicked villagers are running, but no, it turns out that it's a group of super excited kids who break into a theme park called Funland or Familyland. Sorry, it was Familyland. And I'm not joking. They break into it. It's padded lock and they jump over the fence and break the lock so that they can all come in, which okay, yeah, it happens. Kids are reckless like this. But a few minutes later, their teacher or whoever's watching them, their guardian, comes walking in, nonchalant, just observing them. So, was the plan that she was taking them to Familyland? That was like the field trip or something? And she didn't know that it was going to be closed. So she's just assuming that this completely empty amusement park with no one working, like it's perfectly fine. Or she just masterminded the break-in. And most of it seems more like a playground because it's kind of like seesaws and slides. But I mean, I want to know more what their plan was with just breaking into Familyland, and the teacher was completely okay with it. What was the plan? It was locked, and the kids broke and entered. This is a subplot I want more of. But then they see the giant gorilla, and they get scared and run off, and the gorilla looks sad about it. He's sad that they ran away. So, gorilla's gone from being an angry gorilla to a sad gorilla. And, when you go from anger to sadness, horniness is just naturally the next step. And then more calls between the American and Korean embassies and arguing over whether or not there possibly could be a giant monster, which the Americans jokingly refer to as King Kong. Oh, he doesn't realize just how close to the truth he is there. And then giant gorilla sees a snake off a tree and just grabs it and flings it. And I was kind of hoping for a giant gorilla snake fight there, but we did not get one. But then suddenly a martial arts fight breaks out. I'm not going to be racist and say like it's kung fu or karate because I'm not sure which of the martial arts they practice in Korea. So we're just going to say martial arts. We're going to be very progressive here. And, well, it turns out that it's just a film that they're filming in this area. But Giant Gorilla shows up, and these actors aren't very scared of it. They quickly grab their props, which apparently aren't props. They're real weapons that they've been using, which is kind of badass for, like, they're filming with real weapons. And so they're shooting flaming arrows at the giant gorilla. And I gotta say, it actually is shot pretty cool. If it was a high budget film, it would look pretty epic. But since it's low budget, you can see like how fake it is. But I think the way it's just kind of set up is kind of cool with the flaming arrows coming straight at the camera. I think that looks pretty cool. Um, but Giant Gorilla just swats them away, and we're back to more phone calls. And then a guy comes by hang gliding, and he looks kind of worried seeing the giant gorilla. But you know the gorilla means no harm because the music is very whimsical. And in fact, the gorilla, he just starts clapping. He is very happy for hang gliding guy, and he's just cheering him on. So I don't know if gorilla is horny yet, but he is happy, and I like seeing a giant happy gorilla. And then there's a quick scene where some reporters are talking to the military personnel, trying to talk about this giant ape that's on the loose. And the military personnel tell them, it's nothing to worry about. It's going to be all under control. So the American reporter, I still want to call him American reporter Steve Martin as a, homage, but we'll just stick with American reporter because someone tuning in halfway through this is going to wonder, oh, is Steve Martin really in this film? So he goes to warn the actress to stay safe because there's this giant ape on the loose. But she's currently filming a movie and they're working on a rape scene, which there's having some trouble between the director and the main actor. Well, I don't know if he's the main actor of the film, but at least of this scene, which is a rape scene, but by the way, if I didn't mention. So the director feels that the actor is being too forceful because he should be gentle. And I shit you not, because this is probably one of the greatest lines ever written for a movie, and I don't know if this was written like ironically or straight-faced. I hope that they did not realize just how bad this line is, but the director tells him, "Remember, Greg, rape her gently." Like, my God, I wish this film was more famous so we could make a meme out of that, because if you just say rape her gently in a meme, people are gonna, think you're like a rape apologist or something, not realizing that this is a great, horrible line from a great, horrible movie. So please, I was gonna say if you have to rape her gently, but out of context, even in context, that's just a horrible statement. But I will continue to laugh at the fact that someone actually wrote the line, "Remember, Greg, rape her gently." And the city gets evacuated because the gorilla's going on a rampage, which lasts about 30 seconds, because, I don't know, he seems like he's not into it anymore as far as the destruction. And so he just sits down and kind of just relaxes, and he's trying to figure out what to do next, I guess. It's a tough life for the gorilla. And then we cut back to the film being made, and I guess they're going for another attempt at the rape scene, because the rape scene earlier was like the rehearsal, but now they're filming it for real. And Greg doesn't seem to be taking the director's advice of taking it gently. He's still being rough and manhandling her. Fucking actors these days. You tell them to rape gently, and they don't know how to rape gently. Now, the director had to cut on the scene because they could see the giant ape in the background, and, that's just gonna ruin the camera shot. Personally, I think if I were making a film and I saw a giant ape in the background, my next step would be to shut down production and get the fuck out of there. But, I guess they gotta get the film made. So, another take at the scene, and the actress, she's running, screaming, yelling, as part of the performance, of course, because, Greg's trying to rape her. And then suddenly, the ape comes by and grabs her and takes her away. So, one of two things could be happening here. All the screaming and yelling has made the giant gorilla horny, or he might have just been horny. So at some point, I'm guessing he has to be horny, and he sees this lady, and he's chosen her because he can't find any giant ape ladies. so a tiny white woman will suffice. Or, and I'm going to lean more towards this, he heard her yelling for help, and he's decided he's going to help her by taking her away, and thankfully not by killing Greg. Which, if I were a giant ape gorilla, that's probably the thing I would have done, was kill Greg. I mean, I'm not a giant ape gorilla, and I still want to kill Greg. Even though I know he's just making a film, but he can't listen to the fucking director's direction of rape her gently. So they're sending the military out after the giant gorilla because, he's kidnapped a lady. So that can't stand, they gotta save her. And she's screaming, but then she stops screaming and actually looks kind of comfortable for a second while he sets her down gently. And maybe because he's being gentle, unlike Greg the actor who can't rape gently. I'm going to keep going on because I'm going to use that phrase as often as I can, because outside of the context of this review, I probably will never be able to get away with saying rape her gently and have it be funny, at least. I mean, I could go around and say, hey, rape her gently, and I probably will get thrown in jail. As well I should be. So she's calm, but then he puts her in a cave and she starts getting hysterical again. Because I guess the cave's probably not comfy enough or something. The military's coming in with helicopters and smoke grenades and maybe a missile. I think a missile got shot. Meanwhile, Giant Gorilla is doing some interpretive dance. I think he's trying to swat them away, but these moves are more effective as interpretive dance than any actual defense. And the American reporter has made a plan that once the giant gorilla is distracted, he'll go and save the actress. Will he be successful? And holy shit, the plan is successful. While the gorilla is still doing his interpretive dance, American reporter gets in there and he gets her out of the cave. Smooth move. He's definitely getting some tonight, provided they both live. And in what might possibly be one of the greatest scenes ever, I mean, up there with, like, Citizen Kane, all those great scenes, and other great scenes from other great films. You know what? I can't even think of other great films and great scenes because they cannot compare to this scene where the gorilla swats a helicopter into the mountain, the helicopter blows up, and the gorilla then fucking flips him off. That is awesome. You never see King Kong flip anyone off. You never see Godzilla flip anyone off. I'm sure Mothra probably flips people off with its wings. No, because Mothra is actually kind of nice, and she's a protector of Earth. But seriously, what other monster have you seen flip people off? That's just great. Gorilla's just like, fuck you. I'm a giant fucking gorilla, and I am horny, and you took away my woman, and I was gonna rape her gently. Yes. Again, I should go back and count how many times I say rape her gently, because never, ever again am I going to be able to get away with saying rape her gently. The actress goes on to stay with a I was about to say Japanese family because I'm fucking racist, aren't I? This is taking place in Korea. So she's staying with a Korean family while the reporter goes off to, I don't know, do reporter things. And then we cut to a hotel room where an American businessman's about to get it on with a Korean woman. Should I just say Asian woman? Because, again, since it's a hotel room, maybe she's not from Korea herself. Maybe she also traveled from some other country. Maybe she's Asian American. I am overthinking this. So anyways, he's with this woman trying to get it on, but she's upset because he's not letting her take her clothes off first. Which I guess, I can understand. If you're gonna do the deed, you should at least have some of your clothes off. Unless you're in for a dry hump. Nothing wrong with the dry hump. But then she screams because in the window is the giant gorilla, the giant horny gorilla. He's peeping in because he's fucking horny and they took away his woman. So he's gonna peep into windows of people having sex and jack off because that is what giant horny gorillas do. But he doesn't get a chance to jack off because they run out of the room. And the city's being evacuated while the gorilla goes on his rampage. Except it's really not a rampage. He's just walking around and then occasionally smashing a window and looking in. Because, he's trying to find the actress. Because he loves her. Or is just horny for her. Either way. So he's not destroying for the sake of destroying. He just wants to find her. And being a giant gorilla, smashing windows is all he can really do. He can't just knock on doors. And honestly, how many of us have been there? We're horny, so we smash a window or two looking for someone to bang. Now, normally that's something you shouldn't do, because that's just all sorts of creepy and illegal, and you really shouldn't do that. But I understand his mindset, is what I'm saying. So the military's been given the full go-ahead to just kill the gorilla. And luckily for them, the gorilla has decided to leave the city and go back to the mountains to kind of further avoid further destruction, I guess. Very considerate of the gorilla. I'm telling you, I'm rooting for the gorilla. I like him. He's just misunderstood because he's horny. And he shouldn't be misunderstood because we've all been horny. And we should understand that. But I'm really hoping he flips more people off because that was just awesome. Okay, I guess I missed the part where he did capture the actress. Yeah, sometimes my mind just kind of blanks out. So that is a very important plot point, and that's probably why he went back to the mountains. He's got the woman, and he's horny, so he's got to go back to his place to get it on. But the military is shooting at him, which is going to make it very difficult for him to get it on. I was going to say let him get it on, but, she's not consenting. So he definitely should not be allowed to get it on. So I guess maybe they're doing the right thing in shooting him. I just feel bad for him because he's just horny. And, it's your fault, movie, for titling it Giant Horny Gorilla, because now I can empathize with him for being horny. But this is the wrong way to go about it, Gorilla. Wrong way. I gotta say, these military guys are very excellent shots, because they've fired off like thousands of bullets, and not a single one of them has hit the actress. Then again, I think probably about 7 have hit the gorilla. So maybe they're terrible shots. But Gorilla realizes, that the actress is in danger, so he sets her down gently. He doesn't rape her gently, he sets her down gently. Which is good. Because even if you do it gently, rape is wrong. Don't rape her gently. But Gorilla has set her down gently to keep her out of harm. I must say, these camera shots are actually kind of awesome, though. It's nothing slowing down the gorilla, no matter how much they shoot him. And he's taken to throwing rocks at all the tanks. And when he throws a rock, the camera is shot from the point of view of the tank, and the rock comes at us. Like, I don't know, were they planning on making this movie in 3D? If they remake this movie, they need to make it in 3D and include those shots of the rocks coming straight at us. And they're obviously on some sort of wire, because they fly in a way that probably no flying rock would actually fly. Like, they have a pretty cool, trajectory. Yeah, they are really cool scenes. And all these attacks from the guns and the tanks are doing nothing to stop the gorilla. So the military guy, they claim that they're going to send in the big weapons, the ultimate weapon to take them down. And it turns out to be a helicopter. Now, remember, earlier in the film, the last attack, he was just swatting helicopters left and right. So, what's their plan with trying to attack him with a helicopter that comes at him and then nothing? The gorilla just falls over and dies. What the fuck? Talk about anticlimactic. I was hoping for like some giant weapon that they were gonna fire. They didn't even fire a weapon. The helicopter just came, and I guess it was too much for our poor giant horny gorilla. I think it wasn't even the weapons. He was just so horny. His blue balls just backed up so much it caused an aneurysm and killed him. That's what I'm going with. And the actress and the reporter just feel very bad for him that he had to die, because I'm sure they understand that he was just horny. So, much like in King Kong, they had the famous line, "'Twas beauty that killed the beast." This one they say, "He was too big for our small world," which probably the screenwriters were hoping was going to be the lasting line that everyone takes away from this. But me, I'm taking away "rape her gently." Because what the fuck? I understand this movie's from the 70s, but really, like, even in the 70s, shouldn't they have known better than "rape her gently"? Oh, so that was Attack of the Giant Horny Gorilla. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about it as much as I enjoyed watching it. Or maybe I hope you enjoyed it more than I enjoyed watching this film. Really. Though, I mean, there were awesome spots. So, but, yeah, hit me up if there's a movie you want me to try to watch. velvetal@hotmail.com. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, just hit me up in the comments, leave a comment, and maybe I'll watch it.